Hey, outside, it's getting warm, but it's still a pretty morning. Our friend Amy Weeks, or Amy's Canine Kindergarten, with us this morning with her girl Elgin. And good to see you both. Thanks for coming back in.
Thanks for having us back.
We're talking about how to stop a dog from nipping when they get excited, or just stopping them in general.
Right.
So, I mean, do we even know what that behavior is?
So they use their mouth a lot for interaction, for communication. So I've broken this down into 3 pieces to kind of help curtail it a little bit. So the first piece of the puzzle would be to make sure that you, the human, are not part of the problem, right? So if you roughhouse with your dog...
Usually we are.
Right.
Let's face it, usually we are the problem.
Right. It's always teaching the human. So make sure that you are not doing a lot of roughhousing with your dog where they're practicing nipping and biting at your hands.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're not playing a lot of chase games where they turn around and chase you and then they run and they nip at you, because that's the way they think they're soliciting play from you. So we just want to make sure that we're sending clear messages that we don't want them to solicit play that way with us. So we are number one, right? We want to check ourselves to make sure we're not part of the problem. The second phase would be to redirect the dog during circumstances where they're a little bit nippy.
Yeah.
So a nice example of that would be if you're coming into your front door and they're really nippy at you, you can take a handful of treats, come in, put it right in front of their nose, and toss it, scatter it all over the floor. And then they're going to run and catch all that kibble. Yeah. And then by the time they come back to you, they're a little bit settled, so they're a little bit less nippy.
Got it.
So that's another way. Redirect on a toy. A lot of times you can send out to go get a toy.
Right.
So that can also be another way. And then the third step is if you try a lot of redirect and they just are relentless and they keep coming back at you, it's time to separate. So I would suggest you just leave the room for a little bit, or you put them in another room, and you're basically letting them know that you are not going to play with them under that circumstance.
Oh, wait, can I go backwards?
Sure.
I want to go back to your first point about the type of play.
Okay.
Because I like to play like that with my dogs. I like to roughhouse.
Yeah.
I like to run with them. But are you saying that that may not be the proper kind of play?
Well, it's fine if nipping is not a problem and you can control it, right? If you can start it and you can stop it. But if the nipping has gotten out of hand and they're relentless at it and you can't control it, then that's step one. You just want to pull back for a while.
Yeah.
And then I suggest putting that type of play on a cue where you can start it, but you can also stop it when needed be.
And when we talk about nipping, we're not talking about biting, angry biting. We're talking about just
usually they'll try to
gumming, as I like to call it with mine.
Exactly. They're trying to get your attention. They want you to redirect onto them and look at them, and then they want to start play. And that's what they would do with another dog. Yeah. And so they're just trying to do that with us. It's the way they communicate. We just have 2 different species trying to communicate, and it gets a little mixed up sometimes.
Okay. All right. So to recap, before we go, just be careful with the play. Yep. And then if it's still going on, throw a little food or a toy down. And then it gets really bad, leave the room. Yep,
exactly. That's where I'd start with that.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, good to see you. As always, come back, will you?
I will. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon. Okay. Elgin, you were great, as always. Yeah. As always. Elgin always looks the other way.
Yeah,
Elgin's ready to go take a nap.